short. This one is called Côte d'Azur. It's the first poem in the book, and it's in the chapter called But Nothing Else Happens. Côte d'Azur is the French translation for the French Riviera, or the Blue Coast. There is a stone tower between two small towns on the Mediterranean. From atop, a girl is afraid of heights, another steps on glass, and a boy tells stories of the moon and sand ripples in some remote corner of the earth, but nothing else happens. That's actually definitely one of my favorites, and I will read you another short one that is also one of my favorites. And it's called A Perfect Match. I just have to find it. This was also written in my Bushwick days, my previous life in Bushwick. A perfect match. Today was your dirty, elasticless socks that you left by my bed. They weren't a perfect match. And when I woke up, I was happy. Somehow it's always the really short poems that I like the best. And I believe we can end it with the last poem in the book, which is called Socialite. And it's the only poem in the last chapter, which is called The Manhattan Skyline. It also happens to be the last poem I wrote since coming back to Brooklyn. Socialite. I drank Chang beer tonight and walked a black lab in the snow, passing the apartment buildings of the young and rich and their indoor swimming pools and fancy gyms. As we ran toward the boardwalk, I tried to teach Joseph the dog about the Manhattan skyline, but he seemed more interested in rolling around in the snow and pulling me along. It's the only volunteer work I'd ever agree to do, and if I could give up my day job for this, I would in a heartbeat. On Tuesday, it was Johan, a half-shepherd, half-Amstaff canine. I think that maybe he doesn't speak English, and I chat with him in Italian along the same boardwalk. When I bring him back to the shelter, I tell him that I love him. I remember asking you once if you were getting paid extra for being the advisor of that lame high school literary magazine, and you said, enough to buy an extra order of fries at McDonald's. I've actually used that one once or twice throughout the years. So what if I'm nostalgic? I've been trying to improve my social skills, going to lunches and dinners, even though I know in advance how much they will suck. When the conversation shifts to aesthetics and self-expression, I grab my boots and run for the door. I will not be invited back, I'm sure. Thank you. I'll be reading tomorrow at Small's Jazz Club in the West Village. They have a jam session there from 3 to 7 with no cover, and I'll be reading from 6 to 7. And before I get off stage, I wanted to read you a poem, or maybe two, that I didn't write, that my dear father wrote. I hope I can make it through it from beginning to end without any emotional breakdown. This poem is called The Poems. The poems you keep sending me, yours and some of that other guy, are so beautiful. Sometimes I read them, they fill me with despair. Fuck, I think, here goes another one I'm not going to write. I'm taking things very easy here, hardly taking them at all. That black virus which came at me from the swamps like a venomous serpent almost killed me this time. Sometimes I think maybe it did, and I'm really just a very thin, good-natured ghost, a sucker for music, ice cream, women who still carry a hidden dream, and the poems you keep sending me. And the last one of the evening is called You. My father is a very unique man. He quit his job sometime in the early century, and he went to Cuba. He decided that he wanted to learn how to speak Spanish and dance salsa and meet beautiful young women and live the Caribbean lifestyle, and he did, and he went there a number of times, and he wrote a number of poems. And this one is called You, and in parentheses it says not a poem. You may think he's really some old fool, think what you wish. You may have already wiped me off your little screen, it was not the first time. But neither you nor anyone else can take away this moment in time that just descended here with the magic of your words. I'm still watching the people passing by outside along the lazy street in front of the glass walls of the small cafe. It's the first day at work of the black boy in his new uniform, and the little mulatta up on her heels is fixing his bow tie before he'll step in. But it is another city altogether, all covered with silent grace, beautiful and forgiven for now. It is still the same afternoon, but it's a different light all around, and that unmistakable certainty that this is it, here and now, beauty. This moment will pass like the others, I know, but the bit of my heart with your perfect words has changed this place forever. Thank you very much for being so patient. And thank you for Stephen for having me. I'm very grateful for being here and for reading my poetry. If anybody wants to pick up a copy of the book, I have some, and I also have a handy postcard which lists the venues where I'll be reading, and my author page on Facebook, which I'm so proud of. Thank you very much. Good night.